graduation, there were auditions for the Charlottetown Festival.
Oh, the Charlottetown Festival in Prince Edward Island.
Yes. So we all knew that we were out partying late until whatever time. Graduating party was at Hooters.
Wings, y'all, wings.
Yeah, for the wings.
Not for the Hooters. Although...
It was random. It was actually the only place we could get for some reason. So we went there, and then we went somewhere else and had a couple drinks. Everybody knew that, we were out late. Such and such was about to happen the following day. We all promised each other that we would make sure that we get there for our appointments and meet there. The only person that showed up from my class was me. And somehow I got the job. So my first...
And somehow I was the only person there, so...
Yeah, so my first gig at
that was God.
Was the Charlottetown Festival. I was playing Rain, the Rain Woman, in the fabulous show called Somewhere in the World. That is the Young Company show that happens outside every day in the morning at about 10 o'clock. Rain or shine or snow.
So the Charlottetown Festival is just the beginning. You've been all over the world, performing everywhere. Do you have any favorite roles or any really challenging roles?
Most challenging role was probably... God, actually, when I was still in school, I played Othello, and it was a lot of work.
Wait a second. Was it an all-female cast, or was it just that you were the only Blackazoid to be in the class?
I was the only Blackazoid, for one.
Go ahead, George. You put Keisha Fraser in Othello.
And number two, there was only one guy.
So was the one guy Desdemona?
No, he had to play Iago.
Interesting. How was that?
Great.
I imagine it would have been amazing.
I loved it. It was like a lot of work, though. To do Shakespeare is always like a lot of work. It's a different language from what we speak every day. And then to play a lead role, like just the sheer enormity of the words and the role, personally, was a lot of work.
Let's talk about, I don't know, Broadway or the West End in London or the national tour of Matilda. How about we talk about the Stratford Festival? I'm talking about Keisha Fraser all over the world, just doing God's work, showing her talent. Blushing. You can't tell, but she's blushing. So she says. Tell us about that. Did you love living in New York?
I loved living in New York after I stopped working, if I can say.
Interesting. Wait, well, what were you doing in New York?
In New York, I did Mamma Mia.
When they want you, they want you. 16 bars, like Keisha T. Fraser, to Broadway for 2.5 years in a supporting lead role. That is correct, y'all. And that has happened to you quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
That you go in and you just sing a couple of bars, and you have no idea that you're not going to stay.
Yeah.
You're actually going somewhere to do something, and you're like, I'm going back home, no big deal. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm moving too.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't happen for every show, or my career will be much different than it is. But when the time is right, when the show is right, when the stars align, and when you've prepared, when fortune and luck find you, and when God says it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah.
No?
And so that's what happened. Again, you were at Stratford Festival, and you did that for a year, and then during that time, you decided you were going to audition just because you were home, just because she'd been living in New York for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And you were home doing the Stratford Festival and playing a role in the musical
Kiss Me
Kate, thank you.
And Evita wasn't. I wasn't a role.
No, but it was Evita and Kiss Me Kate. And you were home, so you decided to audition for the master's program in music theater in Scotland, and just on a whim decided to do it because you were home.
Yeah.
And then was accepted, and so had to move to Scotland for a year to get your master's in music theater. And then when you they give you a visa for a few months
Yeah.
after that, and then
Yeah.
you were coming back home and
Yeah.
did a couple
It was
auditions just
already
because.
packed up. It was on the plane, in fact.
Yeah, and just was like, I'll go to a couple of auditions or whatever, and they called you and said,
We have an offer for you for The Color Purple.
The Color Purple, the new Color Purple, with the now world famous Cynthia Erivo. You did that production at the Minier
Chocolate Factory.
Which is not necessarily West End, but it is just
Almost a lot of their things transfer to West End. They're just off West End. They're almost West End.
Kind of like an off-Broadway situation.
Pretty much consider them kind of West End anyway. But their things not only almost always travel to the West End, they just go all over the world. They go to Broadway. They've gone to Chicago. Their stuff travels everywhere.
And it was such a beautiful production. I got to visit Keisha T. Fraser a few times actually in Europe, and I have to say it's one of my favorite shows I've ever seen. Period. And my close friend was there, singing away on stage.
It was one of my most favorite things to be in ever, too.
And then that production moved to Broadway while you were in
The Book of Mormon.
The Book of Mormon in the London, England's West End. And then you finished that, and you were like, I'm going to just go home to Toronto because I haven't seen my family. Well, I haven't lived at home with my family for 8 years?
15?
Was it 15 years?
Yeah.
That you hadn't been in Toronto, though?
No, I had been back and forth, but I hadn't worked here in that long.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you... Well, anyway, so you were... I'm just going to go back home to Toronto, just see what it is. Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. You were home for, I'm going to say, maybe a week. Yeah. I think it was maybe a week. And then, what happened?
I auditioned for this little play called Matilda.
Matilda the Musical, which she then booked within the 10 days she was home, and has then been on tour since then. And so that is the advent, I'm going to say that's the advent of your career.
When they want you, they want you. And if you want more Keisha T. Fraser, tune in next time for part 3 of her interview on The Blacktor Studio.